Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. Our next guest is a two-time Imagen Award-winning Latina filmmaker with over 20 years of experience in unscripted television production for MTV networks. And her work spans from directing documentaries on Shakira, no less, to award-winning PBS films to documenting John Leguizamo's road to Broadway. Her latest documentary, Three Extraordinary Women, tells the personal stories of three women of color who climb Mount Kilimanjaro and reflect on their lives overcoming poverty, abuse, systemic racism, and political occupation through practicing forgiveness. And here to share more is Imagen Award-winning filmmaker, Three Extraordinary Women, director, writer, and co-producer, Cionín Lorenzo. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much.
This film, Cionín, oh my goodness, we introduced you at the top for working with unscripted television, MTV, different style, right? Different formats. This film really resonated with me as a woman of color, as someone who has also dealt with adversity, right? I think we all deal with adversity at some point of our lives, especially coming from an urban upbringing. I really would love for you to share with our viewers, like, what inspired you to choose these three women, to choose that circumstance of them climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and paralleling, the obstacles of climbing that mountain with their upbringing.
So, well, first of all, the story came to me from one of the main characters, Perletta Ramos, who she also came on as co-director as time went on and co-producer, but she's a lawyer and she's one of the characters in the film, and one of her ways of pushing through her childhood traumas was a lot of workshopping, self-help, but also traveling. So I connected with her through a mutual friend because she had a trip planned with her two friends, Terry and Tammy, and she wanted to document it. And at first she thought something for YouTube, something for free online. And as we talked, right away I saw a vision for it, and I saw the potential for this to be something a lot bigger. So I gave her my feedback, what I thought this could potentially be, and she decided to also trust me, which was a big deal for people to trust you, but even more so people that have experienced that level of trauma. So that was also a relationship built through time and working on the film, but eventually she really put her trust in my vision. For example, of when we talk about when they're climbing and they talk about their childhoods, there wasn't archive available, photos, home videos, not really enough for the film.
Right.
So my idea was to bring in the animation to tell those stories, and in the end, like, she also loved that. And I think now seeing it all come together, it helps get through those tough moments.
Yeah, and not only that, it allows us, and you guys, I had the privilege of seeing the whole film, so. And I'm going to try and not give too much away because it's definitely a film I highly recommend everyone experience, especially, like, I keep bringing up the pandemic, but, there's a lot of reflection going on, and the way you executed the storytelling and using the animation was enough to be a little bit more graphic than one could be, like, capturing it or looking through archives, right? And it allowed us, or me as the viewer, to really sit with that and visualize what that must have been for each individual as children, right? You have one who is Palestinian. You have one whose mom was murdered in front of her. That's extreme.
Yeah.
and then the other one who basically is the lawyer, right? And also PhD, right? Has a PhD.
Yes.
Who struggled with her upbringing based on having to be raised by her father?
Stepfather, abusive, alcoholic.
Right.
Yeah.
So domestic violence is in there as
Yeah,
well. And they are extraordinary women because what they became, right? Or who they are, we should say,
Right.
is a testament to just really looking to heal, right? And because that's really what the film is about, healing.
Yeah.
It's about confronting it, though, not suppressing it.
Exactly.
And I saw, right? So I'm trying to be very careful because I want people to see the film because I think it's very important in that we all experience what that looks like to have obstacles present themselves and to really confront self-doubt. Because that presents itself in the film, right? And then you parallel it with like, well, how is it relatable, to certain characteristics, and how do you come out of it, and how are they there for each other? It's so beautiful. I was so emotional. I was crying actually watching it.
Well, I still have, even when I watch it, there are moments that I laugh. There are moments that I still want to cry. I've spent, 3 years with this film and, sitting in the edit, writing it, doing the script, feeling at times like I can't do this anymore because there's no funding, there's no support. In media and in many industries, they say we want African American stories, we want Latino stories, we want, and it's not true. It's very hard to get funding. So for me, that was my journey.
That's the part. Yeah.
But those stories and how they made it through was what pushed me to complete the film, because their stories were too important. I had to take myself out of it and say, obviously this is not about me, this is a bigger thing, and people need to hear these stories because they are inspiring. Perletta's also, on her end, has a social impact campaign. She's out there doing conferences with YWCA, Girls Inc., different professional organizations that want to talk about these issues and how do we heal. We don't have to stay trapped.
Right.
It's not easy. Nobody's saying it's easy, but just to let people know, not only women, men, anyone going through a tough time, that believe in yourself and you can find a way out.
It's educational too, right? Because, for anybody who's not familiar with what's been going on in Palestine, here's a person who lived it way before what's happening right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Well, at the time, when I met Perletta, the conversation was around Black Lives Matters. So I felt, of course, even more compelled to help them tell the story. And then now the film is out and the conversation is about Palestine, and people come to me. I have a friend who's Jewish and sort of, not sure, and saw that, and that really, she wants her whole family to see it. It's telling a side of the story that media in this country has not allowed Palestinians to tell their story. And this is just one example, one person. It's her experience, but it speaks to a lot of people and to what, I don't claim to tell the whole story of the history of that region, but there is a valid side that is not given enough attention.
Right. That doesn't really have a voice in the masses.
Yeah.
Because it's been occurring for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to the point that she was actually exported from.
Yeah, her mother made her leave because she was afraid for her life because she was speaking up.
Right, because she was being boisterous and I guess, for lack of a better word, a rebel. She was being an activist is really what she was being.
Exactly.
But that kind of equates to being a rebel, right? Because you're speaking your mind, you're speaking your truth.
Yeah.
And your feelings.
And to this day, she's all about peace. She's worked with the Clinton administration on Palestinian issues, and it's always been about peace. It's always been about how do we find a way together,
And that's exactly what the film actually captures as well, is how they were able to do it together, right? And yes, the peace is also, I think, a driving force because of the nature and and even the shots, they're so captivating. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, they're above the clouds. They're above the clouds. And I know that there was a little moment there that I got scared, for one of them. And so I want to know, before we run out of time, like, how were you able to get that captured in that way? Like, what kind of crew did you bring on board?
So there were discussions about whether I should go or not. Normally I should, but first of all, it's very expensive. I would have had to train for like 6 months, and we didn't have the budget. And knowing that it was 3 characters, I thought it was best to send 2 camera people with a lot of guidance. I had
So the
shot
camera
notes,
people were
questions.
from Tanzania?
No, they're 2 American men who this is what they do.
Got it.
All their filming is on outdoors, climbing mountains.
Extreme sports.
So that's why they did such a beautiful job. And I had sent them with questions for each day. Follow the story as it happens, but please make sure you get these shots, these things. And they went off, and for 7 days, I had no idea what was going on until they came back. And then, they filled me in, I saw the footage, and then I was able to put the story together. But their filming is, I mean, if anyone wins any awards, I want them to win.
The whole film itself is extraordinary, hence the title, really. And I'm so glad that we're able to share it with our viewers now. Before we go, last thing, I know you've been doing the festival circuit. I know you have more to come. Is there any place in particular you like to send people to go watch the film?
Yes, our next screening locally in New York will be at the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival, which I'm very excited about. It runs November 13 to 17. Still waiting on our screening date, but please, and you can also go to our website, 3 Extraordinary Women, our Instagram, and find information there at any time.
Well, we thank you for bringing it here, Cionín, and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank you so
on seeing it through and completing it,
Thank you.
despite the circumstances. And that's what the whole film is about.
Yeah.
Despite the
exactly.
circumstances.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
Here's to
you.
completion. I love the
Yes.
word completion. That's been the theme for today.
Yeah.
Cionín Lorenzo, everyone. 3 Extraordinary Women, director, writer, and co-producer. Once again, be sure to check out 3 Extraordinary Women at this year's International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival, happening November 13th through the 17th. And for more information and additional screening, you can visit 3extraordinarywomen.com. All right, stay tuned. Our Open Artist Spotlight is coming up next.